Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wall Bottle Academy. For many of you here, might be your first visit here. We're in the West End of Newcastle, part of Northern Education Trust. If you're not aware, we've been on a transformational journey over the last 9 years since we've been part of the trust, and we're now one of the most successful, highest performing academies within the local authority. It's a great honour and a privilege to welcome our guests today. Like myself, he's dedicated himself to public life and public duty. I'm not going to say anything more because, like I said, I'm just very, very proud that you're here today. So can we give a big welcome, please, to the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer.
Thank you very much for that welcome, and thank you especially to the school children here, Year 7 in particular, for the very warm welcome and for showing us some of the stuff you're doing in this school. It's been really fantastic to get a sense of the school, your determination, your values and what you want to achieve. So thank you very much for having us here. Thank you for showing us what you're doing. And I just want to say a few words about children and young people. Because very often we say that we want every child to go as far as their talent or ability will take them, wherever that is, whatever that may be. And that is a wonderful thing. And I believe in it profoundly. I think it's so important. I wouldn't prescribe what children and young people should do. I don't think there's this good thing and this not so good thing. I think every child should go wherever their talent and ability takes them, whatever that may be. So that's a fantastic value, a fantastic principle. But it's honoured in the breach more often. So many children aren't able to go as far as their talent and ability will take them. And I'll just give you a little private example within my own family, because I'm very proud and privileged to stand in front of you as the Prime Minister. I came from a working class background. My dad worked in a factory. My mum was a nurse until she was too ill to work any longer. And I am here as Prime Minister, which is the proudest and the privileged thing that I've done in my life. My brother was called Nick. Sadly, he passed away last year on Boxing Day from cancer. He had difficulties learning at school. He was put in a remedial class, not even in the school premises. And he didn't count. And he struggled. And he spent his adult life going from job to job in near poverty. In many ways, he lost his fight. His fight was simply to count, to be heard, to be treated as part of the system. And it didn't work for him. Within my own family. Now, I'm not going to pretend things were exactly as they were all those years ago, but I know that despite all the good work that goes in, there are still too many children for whom the system doesn't really work for them. It doesn't allow them to go as far as their talent and ability will take them. And I'm absolutely determined that this government will fight for them, I will fight for them, and remove each and every barrier that is in their way. The first of those barriers is poverty. There is far too much child poverty in this country, far too much child poverty. And that's why we're taking a number of measures to deal with it. The 2-child cap that's been in place, which has taken children into poverty, has to be removed and will be removed this April, which means that families will have more money to look after their children and give them the chance that they deserve. Free breakfast clubs that have done brilliantly in this school. We went to see the canteen earlier on. We've got a fantastic team here. Are so important. Free school meals as well, really important. And free childcare now from 9 months to 4 years. What a difference that makes for parents who can now have childcare, get back to work, save themselves a lot of money. And what a game changer for children, because all of those that are in primary schools will know that at reception there's too many examples of children arriving aged 4, some of them ready to learn and get on with it, some of them absolutely not ready to learn, and already with an inequality baked in. So we have to do those measures on poverty, because let's be honest, if you've grown up in poverty, it is much harder to go where your talent and your ability will take you. So we have to deal with that. We have to then give more backing to the brilliance that's going on in schools like this, which means that we insist on high standards, we put more resource into our schools, and we back our teachers and all the staff in schools, because it's the teachers, the leaders, but all of the support staff as well. Everybody who works in a school makes a massive difference to it. So we have to do that. We've got something really special that we announced this week, which is Mission Northeast. And this is where the government recognises what good staff are doing, what good schools are doing in the Northeast, and comes up behind to give them extra support to make a real change to the outcome. Now, we did this in London some years ago, and the outcomes dramatically improved. So the idea is to do it again, but this time to be utterly focused on the Northeast, recognising the good work that's going on and saying we're here to roll up our sleeves, come alongside you, and to help with that mission. The next thing is special educational needs, because for many children, they need a bit of extra support of different types. In a way, my brother did. He didn't get that support. He just got put to one side, and that had a really huge impact on him. So special educational needs, really important, but the system we've got at the moment doesn't work as well as it should. So we need to reform it. We need to make sure that it's there for all children who need it. At the moment, it's a bit of a fight for parents. They have to fight for a plan for their child. It's really hard for parents. It's a bitter fight that they have to go through on their own very often. And that isn't how it should be. It should be a general provision that is made available without a fight. And also, second principle, that it's made available in mainstream schools, so that children can be taught in the school where their siblings are, in their community, with their friends. Doesn't mean we won't need specialist provision. Of course we will need that. But much more should be done in mainstream schools. And that, the evidence shows, is better attainment, better grades for the children as they come out, but also a more inclusive upbringing. And not just at the school, because I want children who've got additional needs to go into a society that is inclusive and works for them. Getting back to my brother, he was separated at school, put in the remedial group away from the school, and never really made it back in during his adult life because he'd been separated through his upbringing. We want to change that. But of course, we recognise that it's really important that we put the reform, the resource, the funding in before we make the changes. And so that's the principle we will apply. Next thing we need to do is change our emphasis on apprenticeships. I feel very strongly about this. Go back to my family, if I may. I was the first in my family to go to university. It was fantastic from my point of view. But if I'm honest, I got put on a pedestal. My dad, who was an engineer, went to night school, did an apprenticeship, and he felt very strongly all his life that he was looked down upon because he did an apprenticeship. And that is wrong. I think apprenticeships should be given equal weight, value, and respect to going to university. We need to weigh them properly, we need to put the support in, we need to encourage children to look at apprenticeships rather than just thinking that the only outcome is trying to get everybody into a university. Not against universities by any means, but I think we've got to have a better discussion about how we value apprenticeships. And then the final thing in terms of how we give every child the opportunity to go as far as their talent will take them is the whole question of mental health and social media. Now, when we say social media, all of us parents are concerned about social media and the amount of time children are spending on social media, the access they've got, and therefore we are consulting on whether there should be an age restriction. Is it right that children shouldn't be on social media at all if they're under 16? It's a powerful argument for saying so. There are arguments against, and we're doing a consultation to weigh up the evidence. We can't stay where we are. We've got to take more protections for children, but we need to get this right. But it's not just the age that's on there, because there are already addictive features and characteristics on social media which keep people scrolling, keep people coming back to the screen instead of being able to put the screen to one side. So it's not so much the content, it's the fact that it's addictive for children and they can't get off their phones. A constant problem for all parents. So we need to take measures against that addictive scrolling. And then there are measures like AI chatbot and Grok, which has been in the news lately, which is a pretty disgusting feature that allowed adults to be undressed online using this feature. We had to fight and fight and fight to get that taken down. And so we need much better protection in all of these areas. So they're the barriers we need to remove. We need to come back to where I started, which is if we truly believe that every single child, wherever they come from, whatever their background, whatever their circumstances, every single child, not just some children, not just the best children, but every single child goes as far as their talent and ability will take them. And we've got to fight for that. We've got to remove the barriers that are in the way. That's what we are aiming to do. We want to do it with you, not to you. We want to take on board your expertise. We want to take on board what children and young people say in relation to this as well. But I'm absolutely determined that we'll remove those barriers. And then when we say every child can go as far as their talent or ability will take them, we mean it and we can show it and we can change the life chances for hundreds of thousands of children up and down the country. Thank you so much for listening to me. I've got Georgia Gould here, who is one of my ministers who's been working on special educational needs, and she's going to join me and we're going to take some questions from any of you. So, Georgia, please. We're going to take some questions. Where should we start? I know you're year 7 because we've just been doing the diary with you this morning, so we have to start with you.
How will the curriculum help children develop life skills and confidence alongside academic success?
So if you didn't hear that, how does the curriculum, or how could the curriculum, improve the life skills of children? I think this is really important, by the way, because so many businesses, so many employers say to me in relation to young people, they say, when they arrive with us here, we can give them the skills they need for our business. What we can't give them is the life skills they're going to need to get on, which is working in a group, leadership, communication, being able to express themselves confidently. So it's a really, really important question. I think there are a number of things that we can do. There's the technical stuff, digital skills, etc. I'm a great believer in broadening the curriculum so that children do more creative stuff, art, drama, music, things that draw them in, and actually might give a child confidence in a way that other subjects wouldn't give them confidence. But if you think about it for a minute, if you're, I don't know, playing in a band, playing in a team, doing anything as a group, you've got to have responsibility. You've got to play your part. You've got to catch somebody else's eye. And all of those skills are really important for employers in due course so that children and young people can go on to get the best job that they need. How would you broaden the curriculum? What would you add if you could add one thing?
Things that to make like everyone happy, like stuff if they don't like academic studies, then to make them like do what they want to do.
Yeah, so if you didn't hear that, a really good answer there, which is to allow stuff which isn't necessarily academic. I think this is really important because some children might struggle with maths, I don't know, or something, but they might be very good at something else. And if they don't get the chance to do something else, then their confidence won't go up by knowing that they're good at something else. So thank you for that question. Where should we go next? You? Yes.
I've got an inclusive charity, True Colours Theatre, and we are a performing arts charity. And we have now got an alternative provision for children now who can't access education due to their anxieties, their autism and things. A lot of the children that come to us with no funding whatsoever because they've come off the roll and things. And it's how to get the help for those families and things. These children can't get functional skills and things because of their learning, so we're bridging that gap. We're actually getting them back into education and things, but the lack of funding is so hard that's out there, and we have to open our centre 7 days a week for this.
Yeah, no, well, thank you for what you're doing, for starters. We need to put more funding in, which is what we are doing. And whilst we do want the vast majority of provision to be mainstream provision, there is always going to be exceptions. Where it's simply not possible, or it's not possible at the moment as people are transitioning. So there is that. But George, I'll just pass over to you on this.
Well, thank you so much for the brilliant work you do, and we've seen how alternative provision can really provide that extra support to reintegrate children into mainstream education. So as part of the school's white paper, we're putting in some extra funding, particularly focused on specialist and alternative provision, to do that outreach, to do that support, and to have that really important role in bringing children into inclusive education. So I think it's something we've really heard as part of a consultation, and really pleased to be able to work with organisations like yours.
Madam.
Hi. Mainstream schools are committed to inclusion, but capacity is stretched. What practical changes should staff expect to see as SEND reforms develop?
Let me do the headlines and then Georgia can do more of the detail. But firstly, we know that a lot of staff are putting in a lot already. And that's been challenging for quite a long time. So let me acknowledge that before we even start. And thank all of those that put that provision in, because it's day in, it's day out, it's much needed, and it makes a big difference. If we're going to change the system, it needs more money to go in. It needs more investment. And some of that will go directly to schools, money they would not otherwise have, so that they can put in place the provisions that are needed, the staff that are needed, the training that is needed. Some of that will be outside schools, but available to schools. So language and that sort of provision can be provided to a number of schools at the time. So both of these angles. But that has to go in. And I think one of the principles that Georgia and her team have worked on, which is really important, is we won't withdraw the old scheme for SEND until the new one is already in and up and running. Because I don't think it's fair for us to say to schools and to parents, please take a leap of faith here and hope that the funding will go in. So the transition will be things stay as they are whilst we put the other funding in around it, the support in. Then when we're satisfied that that's in the right place, we do the transition rather than the other way around. But Georgia, you're across the detail of this.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, we were just chatting before, and I know you're a school governor, you're involved in a local charity, and it's that partnership between parents, local charities, specialist provision, and schools that is so important. And I've been travelling around the country talking to teachers, and what I hear, time and time again is teachers want to be able to teach children within their community, within mainstream classrooms, wherever possible, but they lack sometimes the training and the strategies and the access to specialist resource. So some of the things we're putting in place are 200 million directly into teacher training to support teachers with special educational needs and disabilities. As the Prime Minister said, 1.6 billion that is going into a new fund going directly into schools. But I think really importantly that the 1.8 billion that we're building up a new service, experts at hand, because teachers have said actually, they're being asked to be all different professionals for children, and they need to be able to draw on educational psychologists, speech and language therapists, occupational therapists, to be that wraparound to mainstream schools. So we think when the new service is up and running, the average secondary school will have access to 160 days of that professional support, which I know, just being able to pick up the phone and get a speech and language therapist to come down will make such a difference, when at the moment that is locked behind so much bureaucracy. So we're really committed to supporting the brilliant teachers and leaders around the country to do the work I know they're committed to doing.
Let's go to another young person here, please.
What changes might help schools guide pupils earlier towards technical and vocational routes and ensure those destinations are recognised as success?
Well, thank you for raising this, because this takes me back to my point about apprenticeships. I'm a passionate believer in apprenticeships. People use their brain in different ways. Some people want to do the academic route, but other people want to use their brain in a more technical way. And they are both equally valid, they're both equally difficult. And by the way, go and see what some of the apprentices are doing. You appreciate just how skilled it is. I think that we need to do a number of things. Firstly, make sure that the apprenticeships, the technical scholarships are there, the jobs are there, but then help transition children into that. I don't think we have enough businesses and apprenticeships coming into schools or taking children to where they are to show them. I think it's quite hard for a child to aspire to do something if they've no idea what that something is. When you ask a child, what do you want to do? The normal response will be something I know my family members have done or somebody I know has done. You need to expand the horizon. Most of the places where I've gone to see apprenticeships, and I go to see a lot of them, at their of employment, in their business, whatever it is. Firstly, it's really uplifting. All apprenticeships are really happy about what they're doing because they're earning, they're learning, they're getting their skills, they're getting something which they can carry with them for life, which is really, really important. And I always say to them, go back and talk to your school or get your school to come here so that other children can get the spark that this is what they want to do. So we have to put more into that. So thank you for raising that. And you, sir?
Parents often feel out of our depth with social media. Are there plans for clearer national guidance or support for families?
Yeah, well, I think I haven't met many parents who don't say they're out of depth when it comes to social media. It's been such an explosion over the last 10, 15 years. And I think a lot of parents, looking around the room here, some parents feel a bit isolated in that because they're trying to draw the boundaries, trying to sort of work out what's okay, what isn't okay. It's quite hard to do on your own. There's a lot of peer pressure on children because at school they're all talking to each other about what they're doing. And so I think the government does need to step into this space, which is why we're consulting on whether there should be much greater regulation for under 16s. There is this strong argument of ban or a content ban of some sort. And I think we've really got to be open to that. I don't think we can leave the status quo. There's not many parents who say to me, everything's fine, don't see why you want to change anything. Most parents say, please help me do something. Put some guidance in place, put some age verifications in place that actually work. But I think we're kidding ourselves if we just think it's about age verification, because there's the addictive features that are deliberately put in, by the way, they're not accidental, which are designed through algorithms, et cetera, to keep children, keep all of us on the phone for longer. And so we have to deal with that. And the AI chatbots is something new, or newish, that hasn't been included in previous legislation, so we've got to get our arms around that. I think we need to look at the whole thing in the round, but I think most people would say you cannot leave things as they are. You've got to change it. You've got to change it quickly. And last week we took powers to ensure that when we finish the consultation, we can act really quickly in a matter of months, because under the last government we had legislation that dealt with harmful material online, but it took 8 years from the beginning of the discussion to getting legislation. We can't take anybody who's got a teenager will say, you can't wait 8 years, I'm afraid. Or probably people who've got 8, 9-year-olds now would say, if you're going to be a better answer to this, you better get to it quickly, because we need it. And we know the technology is moving on all of the time. We're going to have to leave it there. We're going to come and mingle with you. So we'll try and come from table to table. Where we've got hands up, we'll try and get to those tables in particular. But thank you for your time. And we'll start talking to people around the room. Talk amongst yourselves, and we'll come and find you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.